KD7ZYM monitoring.
Greeting you on WW7ATS.
W7N, KD7QKU. I think Dave's going to be here tonight.
K9PQ's here. Oh, good. Dave's back. I didn't know that.
KD7ZYM. How copy?
Sounding good, Dave. Loud and clear.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. Take a break. We have get the frog out of my throat there. Again, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. It receives on 70 centimeters. It spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. So I'll pause now in case anybody needs this repeater for emergency traffic or to make a contact before our net gets fully underway on the 08 machine. Hearing none as to my position this evening, my 70 centimeter antenna is facing due west. In my absence, there seemed to have been a little wind that was created here that blew the antenna around as opposed to going southeast. My 1.2 receiving antenna seems to be in place, and I got I'd say a 4.5 image from Ron, KD7QKU, and a P5 coming back from the repeater ID. So at least I can see what's happening live, and the images coming across on streaming this evening are back behind about almost a minute, and they are also showing about a P5 picture coming in that's being received on 70 centimeters. So far, checked in this evening, we have James, WU7N, Ron, KD7QKU, and K9PQ, Bob. So let's start up with James, WU7N, or maybe before I even do that, is there anybody else that would like to check into the net tonight?
N7QO.
We have Jim joining us, N7QO. Anybody else? Hail, hail, the normal gang is all here. So let's go up to James, WU7N.
Well, Dave, it's good to have you back. After being out of town for a day or two there, and always interested to hear what's going on back in the great state. I guess it was Arizona. Is that where you were from? Anyway, this morning started off pretty foggy in the Renton Highlands. But it was amazing, at least in the northeast Renton Islands, how the fog just so rapidly burned off. It was really quite a rapid change there. Made for a very productive day at a Renton fishing game. That's what I pretty much do with my day. Looks like the temperature is dropping here. I'm seeing one outdoor indication it's 42 degrees. I had to put a coat on just a moment ago. Tonight I do not have a video transmit picture. I am video receive only, and I'm on echo link. So that's it for me, James WU7N. Back to you.
Thanks for that, James, WU7N. Let's go to Ron, 87QKU, and seeing you, P4.5 plus, I would say, that's coming in, and actually it just got better. I'd say it's a P5 now coming in on RF.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dave, KD7ZYM. This is KD7QKU. Well, good evening to the group. I guess James and Bob and Jim, and Dave, myself, so far. Let's see. Earlier I had given Dave a phone call, and we were talking. I was trying to get him caught up on some of the things that happened here, and I informed him about the bond issue that's coming up for schools in Seattle, and how they're going to add about $1,400 or $1,300 to his property tax as they pass. And in the past, we've both talked about how high our, school taxes on our property tax. Mine is more than half over here in Bellevue on schools, so it's terrible, really. I know they need stuff for education, but even in Christmas, they're kind of getting carried away sometimes. So anyway, wait and see about that. So I was just, I've been watching TV here, and I was watching Washington Grown. I don't know if any of you ever watched that. Tonight, they basically were talking a lot about asparagus. And they made asparagus ice cream, and they handed it out to people, and they asked people to taste it. They didn't tell them what it was, and then they asked them to guess what it was, and not hardly anybody could guess what it was. But then when they told them, they knew right away what it was. But they all said it was good. So I suppose they ground up the asparagus and run it through a strainer, and then they added it to the ice cream mix for flavor, I guess. And then they showed them growing asparagus in Wapato, which is over by Yakima. Wapato happens to be the town where I was born. And then they went over to Pasco, and in Pasco they were growing asparagus, and they had an asparagus festival. Well, I grew up in Kennewick, and they never had an asparagus festival that I knew of while I was there. Although I did cut asparagus one time, and I made less money on the asparagus I cut than I did that I paid for the gas to go out to the field. So at the end of the week, I decided that was enough of that. I got up early and was cutting asparagus before school. You bend over and walk up the rows, and you cut it off. And hard back-breaking labor. So anyway, they were showing the people harvesting it. All right, back to net. KD7. Oh, and by the way, I had a text from Lee, and he is having computer problems. And he had rebooted his computer once, but it hadn't fixed the problem, and he was trying it again. So maybe he'll be with us pretty soon. So KD7QKU.
Thanks for that, Ron. And again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Anybody else like to join our net? Coming up next is Bob, K9PQ. Well, Bob is yours. Take it away.
Everett, in and out.
Dave, someone doubled with you there.
Could the double come back, please?
Kilo India Lima, India, Foxtrot, James, and Everett. In and out.
Let's start off.
You're on, and you sound good. KD7QKU.
Okay, now Ron and Dave doubled. Dave, should I go?
Okay, let's see if we get back on board here. KI7LIF. We got you down. Thank you for checking in. Now let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, let me get my the video switched over to streaming. Dave, has it switched? Or maybe Ron?
Nothing on the internet and nothing on RF coming in at 1.2.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. Was that Dave talking there? Could you go again?
Yeah, this is KD7ZYM. I am seeing nothing coming in but the ID on RF on 1.2 gigs, and I'm not seeing anything showing up on streaming.
Okay, I had to do this last week too. I'm going to have to turn up the power on the control to control. So let me try it again here.
Now seeing bars.
Okay, excellent. And now you should see me. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay. And Dave, it's good to have you back. And it's been a kind of a quiet day for me today. It was a very, very busy week, but a good week. But there's a lot of changes at work, and a lot of adjustment to be made. But it's some good opportunities and keeps life interesting, I guess. And outside of that, not a lot going on with ham radio for me right now. Just with the video, it's been going pretty well for how I'm using it, and it seems like everyone's doing well. We have the same old problem with the streaming that whenever we've got noise on the signal, video noise that is, it's going to slow it down because of the way YouTube works. But it's working pretty well. So I guess that's all I've got. But I will send it back to you, and hopefully we'll have Lee with us. He'll get the computer issue worked out and be with us. I couldn't quite tell from what Ron said, but hopefully it's just temporary. Okay, back to you, Dave. K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for coming in, and you showed up on the internet, P5 picture there, and definitely a P5 picture that's coming in on RF. So for your information, your transmissions are great. Moving down the line, N7QO, Jim.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave, and welcome back. We missed you. Let's see. First, before I forget about the streaming, Dave, you and Bob might not have got the message. There were some changes made regarding the streaming approximately a week ago. I think it was last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Rob and Rich went to the mountain and made some improvements to the
streaming so that our latency is better, and it improved the quality of the streaming quite a bit, apparently, since last couple of nets anyway. Let's see. Dave, yeah, we did indeed have a couple of windstorms that went through here. I was without power during one of them for maybe 16 hours or so, and my neighbors half a mile away, several hundred of them, were actually without power for about 3 days. I don't remember the number of people around this area who were without power, but it was hundreds of thousands that lost power for some period of time. So it does not surprise me that your antenna is pointed in the wrong direction there. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's what happened. Reset. And you might know, Dave, that you did not hear a courtesy tone. They've been doing some work on the 2-meter repeater as well. Just FYI, it seems to be working just fine now. It's just a little bit different than it was before. I'm not sure. I think it may be a work still in progress, but I don't have the details on that. Ron, asparagus ice cream. My goodness. I'm pretty vegetable friendly, although I'm not supposed to eat green vegetables such as asparagus due to medical reasons, but don't tell my doctor, but I do anyway. Asparagus ice cream, Wonder if it might be enhanced with a bit of cheese sauce, or maybe just a dab of ranch dressing. I don't know, just a thought. I've never had asparagus ice cream before, but KD7ZYM, back to you, Lake City Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, thanks for the information on what's been happening. I was thinking, gosh, I guess they could make broccoli ice cream, but I don't think that would be my favorite. But I got out yesterday. I got back into town late Wednesday night and had an interesting thing. First time I heard the word ground stop. Leaving San Jose was supposed to depart at 5 o'clock and was held on the tarmac till 6. And the reasoning was ground stop happening elsewhere in the U.S., which was causing the plane to be held in San Jose. I don't know how the network works. The pilot was saying there was no place to land in some of the airports, and so it was put in a holding position, and we called it a ground stop. So hopefully now that is all rectified with the shutdown of the government back up and operating, well, maybe 95%, we don't know yet. But that was the only flight experience delay I've had in years on the ground. And let's see, what else has been going on? I'm trying to catch up with 5 weeks of mail and going through and looking for stuff coming back in from income tax information. I guess by law, you're supposed to get it by the first week in February is the target date for getting that information to individuals for their income tax. But I've noticed through the years sometimes it takes to the middle of February. But I say I probably have about a quarter of the information now. And that's about what's happening there. Everything seemed to be shipshape when I got back, except this antenna that flew a little bit to the west. So that's what's been happening here. Let's move back up to the top of the list, and let's put out a call again. Anybody else like to join the net? Hearing none. WU7N, James.
thank you very much. I've got a couple little blocks of noise over Echo Link when you were speaking. Don't know if that's an Echo Link unique thing or some of the others, as you heard it while Dave was talking. I know he's probably gone now, but hello to James up at Everett. Good to hear you. I heard all sorts of sirens in the background. Hope all is well there. Never had asparagus-flavored ice cream. That would be a first for me. I can't even imagine how that would taste. It would seem to me you'd have to have a lot of sugar there, but I suppose if you add enough sugar and cream to anything, it can taste good. Dave, you're the master chef. You can comment on that. Two bits of news trivia. I guess we're getting into some really cold weather in the Midwest and Northeast. Some 60 million U.S. citizens will be below zero in the next couple of days. Very cold weather, and coldest in 20 years. So I guess we should be glad that it's so warm and toasty around here. And the other bit of trivia is it's back to the Middle Ages. We have a measles outbreak, and I guess the governor declared a state of emergency. Dave, he came back just in time to get in on that. It just kind of blows my mind. People don't get a 25-cent inoculation for their kids, and so we end up with problems. That's kind of sad. Well, anyway, that's it for me. Good to hear everybody tonight. Ron and Bob and Jim. So let me turn it back to Net Control. This is WU7N in Northeast Bellevue.
WU7N, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net on the 08 machine, and I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Moving down the list is KD7QKU, Ron.
Okay, well, good evening again. This is Ron, KD7QKU. And I was trying to say hi to James up there in Everett, KI7LIF, I believe. And James, I don't know if you knew it or not, but you were talking to a guy once in our group. His name was Chandler, and he was going to give you a radio, but it never worked out. Well, Chandler passed away, unfortunately, and he's been missed by us. We all miss him very much. And Bob, when I was talking to Dave this afternoon, he was telling me that John, K7MCX, John, he passed away. He's a silent key now, too. So all kind of things happen around here. So anyway, I was sad to hear that. I talked to John, I think, about a year ago. I hadn't called him for a long, long time. I was just looking here on my desk, and I still have a note with his phone number on it. But anyway, I saw it one day, and I gave him a call, and thanked me very much for calling him. Said he hadn't been doing too bad, but he wasn't feeling great, and he appreciated my call, and he asked me to call him more often, which I never did. And I also told him, well, you have my phone number, John. If you don't know it, get out a pencil and I'll give it to you, and you can call me too, you know. But he never did. He bought a new Tesla not too many years ago, and he was always going to give me a ride, and unfortunately I never got my ride in the Tesla, but I think Dave did. He lived kind of close to Dave, KD7ZYM. Anyway, John had a big HF station. He had a stepper, big, beam antenna on a tower, and he had in his radio room, the window looked out. He was on the hill, and he looked out to the east, and he could see Lake Washington. He was a little ways from the lake, but he could see it. He had a nice home. So anyway, that was kind of sad news. Let's see what else is going on. I pruned the prune tree today. This afternoon I went out finally, and I did that. So that taken a while. I just cut off all the suckers. I never thin it out. It's just an overgrown mess, tangled inside. But I did it once a long, long time ago, and then it didn't produce any fruit for a couple of years. So ever since then, I've just left it alone and just kind of shaped it up and cut some of the suckers that stick straight up off. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, and again, this is KD7ZYM, moving over to Bob, T9PQ. And however, see if Bob's going to the PSRG meeting at the Seattle Emergency Center tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 4.
Hey, Dave. No, I will not be able to go tomorrow. But let me get switched over to streaming. Okay. Thanks for the update on the streaming, and yes, I have noticed an improvement. The delay seems less, and it's a little more blurry than usual, but that sometimes is something going on my end, so I need to check my YouTube settings and make sure that I've got them set up right. But the delay does seem a lot better, much improved. And I'm sorry to hear about John. Man, he was a force of nature, and I did get a ride in his Model S. Very nice car. I had hoped to drive it, and he wanted to drive it. He was going to let me drive it, but he had just got it, and it was. I don't know if he was one of the first. How early in whether he was one of the first to buy it, or how long it had been on sale by the time he bought it, but. His insurance company didn't know what to do with it, and they insured it as an experimental vehicle, and so he wasn't allowed to let anyone else drive it. And they got it rectified, but I didn't go back and to meet with him again to drive it. But yeah, interesting guy, and yeah, he had the big HF station, but he was really very much into VHF, as much as I knew in the more recent years, and he did quite well on that. Serious like distance VHF, not like what we're doing here. Yeah, so interesting guy John was, and he had an interesting way of running nets that I have to admit at first put me off a little bit, but then I realized. It was very good. So in the 9 o'clock net, he wouldn't make any comments. Between people checking in, it was very terse. In fact, he would just when the person was done, he'd just announce the next person, and that was it. But I came to really appreciate it. It kept the nets moving, and it kept the talk to be among all the people on the net as it should be, instead of just him. And then when it was his turn, he took his turn. So interesting guy. Let me break. Well, let's see. The other thing was the windstorm. Yeah, one of them. There were a few when you were gone, John. One was, I think, must have been very localized to my place, because I had heard about all the others. I'd seen, watches and warnings and whatnot. And just about, I would say maybe a week and a half ago, there was a really windy night, very windy here at my place, and I hadn't seen anything on the news, and so I got interested. I looked on the internet, and there was nothing. National Weather Service had nothing up about it, even while it was going on. It was very odd. So I can only think it must have been very localized and sort of unexpected. Okay, I think that's good for now. I will send it back. This is K9PQ. Back to you, Dave.
K9PQ. Bob, thanks with that. Let's go on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Bob, I think some of the storms were a little bit localized. In fact, somewhere around here, don't quote me, but I think it was in the vicinity of Port Orchard. They seemed to have a tornado which did some very serious damage to I think a couple of houses there. But very unusual weather for this part of the country. Of course, probably unusual weather for the majority of the country. But anyway, most of us survived that okay. Tesla. Yeah, I've seen a couple. Never got a ride in one. I thought I might like to buy one until I found out how much they cost. I've driven around with a friend in a Leaf, similar to your car, Dave. It's nice, but I'm afraid to drive it too far. I kind of like a Chevy Volt, but unfortunately they stopped making those. I guess this is the last year of production, and I don't think I can quite afford that at this point in time. But I like the Volt because you can just, once the batteries run dead, as long as you have gasoline in there, the engine will start up and you just keep going until, of course, you run out of gas. But then you can stop at a normal gas station and just fill it up. So, I don't know, to me it sounds a little more practical, but for whatever reason it never was all that popular. Reset. And Ron, yeah, trees and all this stuff, pruning. I've got some stuff that I need to take care of around here. I never quite got around to cutting back some of my bushes before the winter. I was either busy working or else I was not terribly well. I've had some issues for a while, and then Dave, you missed it. Probably at least half of us in the club here were ill, and not from being in close contact with each other, but just from, I don't know, being in contact with other sick people. But at least it wasn't the measles, nothing like that. Yeah, don't know what to make of that, especially down in the southern end of the state here around Camas and maybe the Portland area as well, but very strange. Also, Everett James. Yeah, haven't heard from you for a while. Good to hear from you if you're still listening. I heard you said in and out, but good to hear someone else listening to us anyway, rather than us just flapping our gums. Well, I guess we're flapping our gums to each other. That counts. By the way, I can't see my picture on the streaming. I guess I've got a weak signal into the television repeater, but I see myself on the 1.2. Not real well, but I see myself. K87ZYM N7QO.
N7QO, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Gosh, when it comes around to electric cars, the Chevy Volt is going out, but I think the new one is a Bolt. I'm not sure. I haven't checked up on that. But anyway, it's got a 225-mile range on it, so things are improving, and the prices are dropping down on the electric cars. The only bad news is there's a person in the White House that decided to scrap the $7,500 tax credit on electric cars and bring it down to half of that value. So it'd be interesting to see how the lobbyists get together with the White House, since they're not dealing with Congress anymore. And we'll have to see what happens with the electric cars. And that's about what I've got to add to it. Is there anything from anyone?
Kilo India 7, Lima India Foxtrot. Yeah, I did hear about Sandler. So yeah. But thanks for the news. Anyway, I was still listening, and yes, it's been a while since I've been with this hobby, and the sirens that you heard is I'm watching a show called Live PD. So anyway, I just wanted to say, yeah, I did hear about Chandler. KD7ZYN, KI7LIF. Back to you, Dave.
KI7LIF. Thank you for that. Well, let's hike all the way up to the top of the list. WU7N, James.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. James, good to hear from you. I'm glad to hear the sirens are just on TV there. Sorry to hear about John, and I have to say that if the insurance companies found out about most of the vehicles I've driven in my life, I think they would probably classify them as experimental too and not allow anyone to drive them, probably not even me. But never into an accident, so I guess I never found out. Yeah, Dave, you list everybody being ill while you were gone too. It's probably important to wash your microphone after these nets, I'm not sure. Yeah, as far as the measles outbreak, there's just no excuse for that. I think they've got the vaccine down to measles, mumps, and rubella, and very inexpensive, very safe, and it's kind of sad. I can't imagine what it must be like if you grow up all disabled, and it's because mom was a back-to-nature person who didn't want to give you a vaccine. That must create some real interesting family dynamics there later on in life. And if anything's happening in the White House, it's probably because the cook staff, I understand, is retained from one administration to the next. That never changes, the people that work in the kitchen. So they probably are the ones responsible for changing the tax credits on your electric vehicle. You probably could blame them. Someone told me that some of the people there have been there through multiple administrations, like 4 presidents or something. I guess, they make a whole career of working in the kitchen there. Well, anyway, on that philosophical note, I guess I can turn it back to Net Control. This is James, WU7N, in Northeast W.
WU7N, James, thanks with that. And let's go to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU here. Yeah, they had a list of all the stuff on TV the other night on the news that one should have shots for, and I was surprised there was about 7 things. I remember when I was a kid in grade school, we got the polio vaccine. They gave it to us on sugar cubes, in a little cup. We ate the sugar cubes, but apparently it did the trick. I think we had to do it twice in a period of time. And then, let's see, and I don't know what was all on that list. I did get a booster shot here a couple of years ago. We had a preemie baby in the family, and they wanted everybody to have the mumps and stuff, so I think we went down and we got the shot you were talking about, James, that has 3 things in it. So maybe I've had a booster shot for measles. I think it was part of it. At work one time, I thought I'd been exposed to measles. I worked for Group Health. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I drove truck and I delivered stuff. So over in Federal Way, there had been a measles outbreak over in Federal Way. One of the ladies in the pharmacy came down with measles, and I delivered there. So when I went over to South Tacoma and I was delivering there, I happened to mention it, that I had been in the Federal Way, and that apparently a lady had come down. I was there every day with measles. I said, maybe I've been exposed to them. And there was a young lady that worked there, and she happened to be pregnant, and she got so upset that she almost passed out. And so then it was a big deal. So somebody called Group Health, whatever it is, Employee Health or something. Oh my goodness. They quarantined, made me stay home 3 days. And I had to go in and be tested, and oh my golly, it turned out to be quite a deal. And then of course they went over and they quarantined all the people that was working in the pharmacy in Federal Way, and I don't know whatever happened, but it was a really big deal. But I never had it. I never came down with it, and so the lady in South Tacoma there, she was spared. So she didn't do anything with her pregnancy or anything, but yeah, I guess if you're pregnant in early stages or something, it can be kind of devastating. So anyway, that was my measles experience here in the last few years. Well, it was a long time ago now, probably 15 years ago now. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, KD7ZYM, K9PQ, Bob, you're up.
Okay, getting switched over. I had to remember to switch back. It's nice having the two frequencies up on the mobile rig that I use here at home, but I have to remember to be on the right side. So, well, I believe I had chickenpox as a child, and I don't remember having measles. I don't remember if I had a vaccine at that time or not. I honestly don't remember, that, but I had the usual, the DPT booster, as they used to call it, diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. I had to look it up because I used to always think it was polio, and I got the polio vaccine, all the usual stuff. But I didn't get a mumps vaccine until much later. I want to say high school, after a lot of my brothers and sisters had already got it, and I think at that time, if you were a child, they didn't give it to you because it was only more dangerous if you were older. That was the belief. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that one brother of mine and I got it when we were in high school because they felt we were of an age where we shouldn't be getting it, and gave us the vaccine. So yeah, I mean, but obviously there have been a lot of medical advances, and so yeah, that has changed the policy, I'm sure. Well, I did see that my settings were wrong on YouTube. The last time I had looked at our streaming, it was so bad that I turned the resolution of YouTube way down to see if that would help with the delay. But now, whatever they did, what an improvement. So I've got the resolution up, to normal levels. It's a nice, clear picture, and not much of a delay that I can see. So that's fantastic stuff. Okay, let's see. I thought I was going to comment on a couple things, but it slipped my mind. So I'll just send it back to you, Dave. K9PQ.
Thanks for that, Bob. For me, I'm still looking for my mind, but let's go on to Jim in 7QO.
N7QO. Well, as you gentlemen, as it comes your turn, if you would please mention if you could see me on the 1.2. I know not everyone's looking at the 1.2. Bellevue Jim, I know you've got problems with midges there. Let's see, Bob, you're kind of on the wrong side of the building, so I'm sure you can't see me, but Dave, I think that was your 70 centimeter antenna that was pointed in the wrong direction. I don't know. Dave and Ron, if you would, let me know if you can see anything from me on 1.2 when it's your turn. And let's see, vaccinations. Yeah, having had chicken pox, they say that you should get a shingles vaccination at, I think it's age 65. My wife kind of fought them on that. she wound up getting shingles, and it seems to me they told her you had to be 65 before you got the vaccination, but she was between age 60 and 65, and they may have changed that age downward to 60. I'm not real sure about that, but that's worth checking into. You don't want to get shingles. Let's see. Also, for those of us, anyone who does work around, need a tetanus vaccination. I think they're only good for a decade, so every 10 years tetanus would be good. And as we get older, let me reset. As we get older, pneumonia vaccine would be probably a good idea. And let's see here, we were talking about electric cars once again. Yeah, Dave, the Chevy Bolt replaced the Volt, and it seems to me that the Bolt is very similar to the Leaf. It's all electric. The couple that I've seen kind of made me think of the Leaf. Seems to me they're rather similar, except maybe I don't know, maybe not quite as rounded. Tax credits, yeah. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I guess maybe the petroleum industry lobby is a little bit stronger and better entrenched than the folks who produce electric cars. I don't know. Well, that's the way it goes. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, this is KD7ZYM, Dave, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Yeah, it's interesting what's happening going around. There's an interesting story that was coming out on alternative energy regarding solar panels. Apparently, they have a lifespan of 10 to 12 years, and they're very pollutant. And they're saying when they have to start replacing these panels, it's going to cause a bunch of problems with our environment. In order to get rid of them, I think you have to burn them, and that puts a bunch of stuff up in the air. So who knows? It could be one lobby against the other, oil, gas versus solar and wind power. So far they haven't found anything bad with the wind power, except occasional bird or two goes down from the blaze. So that's about all I got to add. This is Dave, KD7ZYM, and we go up to James, WW7N.
Thank you, Dave. Well, there's a lot of things that the only safe way to get rid of them is to incinerate them. Years ago, I was given a box of Havana cigars when I was posted overseas, which, of course, were illegal to have on U.S. soil. And so I graciously accepted them as a young diplomat should, took them to my boss and said, okay, how do we dispose of these? And we decided the only way to get rid of the cigars was to burn them. The whole office assisted in that toxic disposal effort. So that's the one thing I can remember that had to get burned. Speaking of getting burned, as I understand it, the people in the age group on this net right now, you don't have to actually get another MMR, mumps, measles, rubella, if you've ever had one in your life. They think it's good for life, or if you've ever had measles. But the one that sneaks up on people, that there was an outbreak, I think 2 years ago of this, is pertussis, a whooping cough. And that's one shot, too. They include tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis and call it a Tdap in one inoculation. And that's also another disease of the Middle Ages that should not be here anymore. But I guess people forget to get vaccinated, so we have outbreaks. But the shingles and the pneumonia, the interesting thing about that is I've run into the same thing. Last time, I think it was a year ago, I tried to get vaccinated for those, and they wanted some outrageous amount of money for those. But if you turn some magic age, then they give them to you for free. So I guess they're wanting to make sure you live long enough before they waste the $2 on you for that. But other than that, I'm not sure I'd get a seasonal influenza, although your federal government never seems to pick the right bugs. They have to guess in advance which ones to put in the vaccine, and I think that's probably right in there with witchcraft or making odds in Las Vegas. Sometimes they get it right, but most years they don't. However, if you get one of those, supposedly it's supposed to help you if you catch one of the ones that wasn't in the vaccine. It reduces the severity of the symptoms. Or so the sales and marketing people at the vaccine companies say. Well, anyway, I guess that's it for this round for me. This is James, WW7 Northeast Bellevue, with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Back to Net Control Dave.
Thank you, James. Let's go on to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU here. Well, Jim N7QO, I'm sorry to tell you that I haven't seen any picture from you tonight. And I was thinking that maybe last week I didn't see much either. You usually are putting out something, but I don't know if I can see anything tonight, I'm sorry to say. And about those shingles shots, well, I guess I haven't got to the age yet where they give them to you free, because every time I've asked them down here at the drugstore, Rite Aid, they wanted like a $50 co-payment. And so I failed to get one. I've had a couple of pneumonia shots, but I haven't had a shingles shot, and I guess I need to get it. We just had to change our insurance, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe the new insurance that we have, maybe it'll have a smaller co-payment. I guess some of the people up on the Lyman Hill repeater had shingles here a while back, and they were telling how bad it was, and they were telling everybody if you haven't had the shot, you really need to go get it. And so I guess I need to go get it, even if I have to pay $50 for it. It sounds like they were pretty miserable. So let's see. Oh, and electric cars. I guess there's going to be a lot of new electric cars coming out. Somebody said Volkswagen's putting one out. I just think there's going to be a whole bunch of new electric cars coming out. Big push on them. So maybe they will get that tax deduction back up again, Dave. I don't know. But anyway, I was just reading someplace. And then I heard on, I don't know if it was TV or if I was reading it, I get a lot of stuff on my phone, and I read a lot of stuff on my phone. And I guess Germany, I guess it is going to, in 20 years, they're going to do away with all their coal generating plants, and they're going to go all to solar or wind or something. And then here a while back, I remember I told Lee, I don't know, and James, I don't know if any of us ever checked into it, but I heard that there was nitrogen. Is it nitrogen? Yeah, I guess it's nitrogen. They have a couple of trains now in in Europe that runs on nitrogen and locomotives, and they're thinking that that's going to be a fantastic thing, because what is it? The only byproduct is water, and it doesn't take long to recharge them when they stop at the station. So anyway, it sounds like we may see a big change there too. So I guess that's it. So back to net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. We'll bring Bob up again, K9PQ.
Okay, switching over. Okay, well, I have a lot of comments now. First of all, did I get switched over okay, Dave?
Yeah, you're doing good on RF. I'm still trying to bring you up on the internet.
Okay. So I'm looking at the official U.S. government source of information for the tax credits. They have not gone away or been cut in half. It's in the natural course of events. As more cars are sold, the rebate will drop and then eventually go away. And I don't remember the formula for that, but it has to do with numbers of cars, and then there's some period of time, but there are a number of vehicles, a lot of vehicles that still have the full 7500. What you're thinking of is, and for Ron, what you're thinking of is hydrogen. And I actually like the idea of hydrogen fuel, but we are not going to get it here anytime for cars anytime soon. Apparently it's a state-by-state thing, and I don't remember exactly how it is, but you need this really big infrastructure, and somehow the state's involved with that, and they make a decision whether they're going to support that infrastructure or not. I would imagine, they have to get involved because of pipelines and things like that. So California is doing it on the west, and there are a number of states in the Northeast corridor that are on board and are going to be doing it, but Washington will not be. And the Volt and Bolt. So the Bolt, I guess you could say replaced the Volt, but they were being sold at the same time. I actually considered buying both of them. And the Bolt is really interesting. It's an interesting vehicle. I should maybe take a look at it. I had read some reviews that they didn't like, two different reviews, independent reviews, that said they both didn't like the seats. And what I want it for is a commuting vehicle, so it's got to have good seats. It'd be something I'd be driving every day. Right now, Dave, I want to talk with you more now that you're back. I'm kind of looking at used Leaf because they tend to be a real good buy. Let me break. They tend to be a real good buy, a real inexpensive price compared to their utility, because people look at them as more technology than utility, and the technology gets out of date pretty quickly. But if it suits your needs and you're okay with 3-4-year-old technology, it can be a real good purchase. So that's the way I'm leaning right now. As I say, Dave, I want to talk with you. You seem to have a line on specific years, which ones are better than others, and so I'd definitely like to talk with you about different options, and so I can be an informed shopper. Well, I guess that's good for me. It's 5 of. I'm going to give my 73s and kick that off and send it back to Dave. So this is K9PQ 73, everybody.
73, Bob. Let's go on to Jim in 7QO, and I have not seen your picture come up on RF. Generally, it's sort of a silhouette, but I haven't seen it this evening either on RF or streaming.
Okay, well, thank you for that. In that case, I will not bother sending a picture here. I can see myself, but if no one else can, it's kind of fruitless. Let's see. Yeah, I thought there was a push toward hydrogen cars during the last Bush administration, but I guess it was more of a state-by-state thing. Don't know exactly what happened there. There was talk about developing an infrastructure. I guess it went nowhere, or at least nowhere fast. Oh well. Electric cars makes me think of Norris. Norris was one of the first ones. He modified his Volkswagen to be an electric car many years ago. Miss Norris. Solar panels. It seems to me I saw something on television just this past week that California passed some sort of law which says newly manufactured houses in California are required to have some sort of solar panels on them. I don't recall the details on that, but that sounds interesting. I heard something about a shelf life for solar panels as well. Not sure what to make of that, but looks like the witching hour is almost upon us, so I will say good night to everyone. Thank you all for participating. Thanks for the pictures. And Dave, good to have you back. Good night all, N7QO.
N7QO, this is KD7ZYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. And it's very interesting what comes out. The hydrogen cars, I had read an article a couple of months ago saying cost per mile is, at this point, almost prohibitive. It costs more than gasoline per mile to operate the hydrogen cars at this point, and then the lack of fueling stations is a problem coming out of California facing. So that's about it. Is there anything from anybody before we close down the net? Hearing none, we'd like to thank the owners and operators of the 08 machine, the CTAC Repeater Group, for allowing the Western Washington Amateur Television Society to use it for nets on Wednesdays and Saturday evenings between 8 and 9 o'clock. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, I'll be signing off. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Good evening at 9 o'clock.
WW7ATS calling.